I want it back. Give it back. I want it back. Give it back. I want it back. Now you know what I'm talking about. Going on YouTube, here's another one of the vlogs. This is actually going to be a three-parter, but I'll get into that later. Let's see. Well, I'm really shot out. I stayed home from work today. I'm like really out of it, not feeling that great. I'm kind of trying to recuperate from the tons of overnights that we've had, and this last overnight I worked all day, and then I get out at 4:30ish roughly, and it takes you a while to drive home, right? By the time I got to bed, it was probably by 8 p.m. I'd be up by 10:30 p.m., get ready and leave by 11 to get to work by midnight and work all night. So by the time I got to leaving from the overnight, literally I fell asleep at the wheel four times, and almost came head on to one of those big Dodge Ram type of trucks. I don't really know what the make of it was, because I was veering out of the way of it in the last minute, and the guy's honking his horn. Obviously, I think the horn honking woke me up. And I was going to go head on with this guy. And I was probably going about 35 miles per hour, 40. Head on. Let me tell you, man. I don't know. I don't know the legality of how they make us do this, but it is what it is, so they say. And we got another one scheduled next week, and possibly another week of like back-to-backs. These guys got to start thinking, because I'm telling you, one of these days, and I'm not the only one, there's other guys that do this job, and I'm not the only one that has this issue. And I've heard multiple people say they fell asleep at the wheel. And eventually it's going to happen, and I don't know, there are going to be lawsuits a-flying, I think. So, anyway, that's not why I make a vid. I came in contact with a kid on at the diner, the Jefferson Diner that near my house. It's a pretty well-known diner. It was on the Dive-Ins and Dives show, you know, that Guy Ferrari show. And it was also on some other show, Unwrapped, and decent diner. So, I mean, the thing with people who don't live in New Jersey diners are some of the best. I mean, they literally are like restaurants. So, hands down. I mean, and you can go in there and order breakfast at any time. It blows your ass. Like, whenever, that's the one thing I would miss from being here, because the diners, it's no Denny's. Like, Denny's is crap. Like, I remember going out, and my wife was so excited to do Denny's. She was like, couldn't wait, because we were out in California, and they have no diners that I've seen that compare anything to what we have here. And she was so excited to eat it at Denny's, and I ate there, and I'm like, this is horrible. Like, this is all they got out here? Anyway, once again, another run off into another direction, because I can never stay on topic. So this kid, I don't know how we ended up mentioning, but you know, he got on the topic that I prep, and he's like, oh, and of course the first thing that they mention is, oh, one of those doomsday guys, you know. So that's the only thing people have to reference to that prepping movement, which is so sad. It's like, but I didn't even know that the prepping movement was anywhere around. I had no clue. You know, I had no idea that people were on YouTube making videos, and it wasn't until I started doing a little search, because I was looking for information. I was looking to become more, I knew I had to do something, and you know, based on a lot of the stuff I do along the lines of radical Islam, and now you see what's going on in Boston, it's a problem. And that guy has a suicide vest too, by the way. And this is something that I got a comment, oh, we've never had a suicide bomber in the United States. Why are you making videos on this? Because I am shocked that this hasn't happened yet here. And I pray against it and hope I never see it. But just because it hasn't happened, what a stupid mindset to have. Just because it didn't happen, why are you talking about it? It seems to go along the lines with a lot of things that people are more reactionary rather than preventative. They once it happens, then they're like, oh, I better do something now. No, you should do something prior to it happening. Anyway, I did it again. So this kid, I saw it. He was like, he seemed sincere. So I told him all the stuff that different things I go into. We have 350 mil people in the U.S. and 2% of us farm. Different things that most people don't think about. That we're so dependent on electricity, and if we don't have it, it's just going to completely disrupt the whole world that we know. I went into the Spanish flu, which is always an eye-opener for people, pandemics, to truly understand, and mentioning China and what's going on over there. I mean, anybody who you read about, like people from the CDC and different disease virologists, I guess you call them, they even say that we're well overdue for something like that. And the Spanish flu is considered the worst natural disaster in human history. And and here we have even governments making man-made super flu stuff, including our own government. So, putting those perspectives and then giving them the basics. Shelter, food, water. Every basic survival book, it's shelter, food, water. Not necessarily in that order. But I would go water, shelter, food. That would be kind of my whole thing in a situation where I'm surviving. But each of those are solid threes that you have to always prepare your whole preparedness plan around. And so I started mentioning YouTube and how it was YouTube that opened the door for this community that I didn't know existed. And it also, I mentioned that most of the people that were found on Doomsday Preppers, at least the first episodes, within the first 4 or 5 episodes, were a lot of people that were on YouTube, or many of them, including people whom I had been watching prior to the show even coming into play, and how there's a wealth of information out there. And I want to lead people to the right channels that help me and get me to where I'm at. So, and that's the whole point and why we do what we're doing here. Some people make money out of it. I lament over whether I'm going to monetize the channel or not. Like I said, I had a discussion with Pop Prepper over that you should be paid for what you do, and everything. And he's right. I don't know. I'm still wrestling over it. I don't know. Maybe I guess I'm under this thing where I want to keep this pure, where there's no money involved. The money's involved in everything, right? I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing in this vlog. I also wanted to say congratulations and thank God for everybody that stood up for that Second Amendment. I don't do it constantly on this channel, but I did do things behind the scenes. I don't need to advertise everything that I do, especially with the state that I live in. It's a lost cause here, but I did whatever I could with the time that I have, which is not much. But at least I did something. That's the whole thing. No matter how much time you have, you always have to watch and you always have to do and fight for your basic rights. And you can't let them take it away. And they're already planning on going again. That's the thing with liberals, is they slowly etch away at foundations. And only recently have they been able to make huge strides based on just different things that have happened with George Bush, and it opened up the doors of people not even wanting to hear any kind of conservative thought at all. You guys are done. You screwed us up pretty bad, and so now it gave a a lot of the liberal socialist movement legs to really run and do a lot of damage. So we always got to be, unfortunately, we have to constantly be vigilant, but with you got to be smart about it. You can't just go on and, I don't know, I'm not into the channels who sit there and they're driving on the back of a truck with machine guns and Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment. That's the stuff that's going to be used on video clips for Bill Maher and all these other jerks that help demonize you. You know, you think you're doing some kind of help for the Second Amendment by being bold, just as bold as they're being backed. You gotta think. You gotta think, because the media and video can be twisted and turned to serve whatever purpose they're trying to do. And usually it's to demonize, to turn public opinion against. So it's the fight will probably not be over ever. As you've seen, liberals have taken a long time to get into the houses of education and completely get into entertainment and the news organizations and really kind of fundamentally put us in this little diorama box. And if you don't have the smarts to be able to look outside the box and around the edges, you'll always keep looking at whatever they want you to look at, and it will help form, they'll try to form your own opinion by what they want your opinion to be. That was just a mouthful. I'm so tired, guys. So I'm going to do kind of an ultimate shout-out video. I'm going to start going through all the people who are on my featured channels list and why they're there. And I remove sometimes based on certain things, or I add. I mean, I've recently changed a little bit up, but I want to go through each one. And in case this kid is looking, I told him, I gave him a few channels to look up and make sure, you know, if he's going to, private message me and let me know, and I'll try to give him links to different people who I trust and have gained a lot of knowledge from. Well, that's why I'm going to do these videos. Not only to give homage to these people for their efforts, I also want to share, so in case other people are looking for vids and they stumble on this one, I can fundamentally give them some really good, down-to-earth, great channels that helped me. That's it. That's the whole point. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to keep it in a part 3, but you guys all know Mojo is ridiculously long-winded and constantly goes off topic. But he tries. He tries so hard. See, I'm a person that needs like liner notes to keep me on point, because I could just go off everywhere in all sorts of tangents. Anyway, I'm gonna keep sipping my coffee. I'll go and start making the next video. It's the best.